and welcome to KOFISI Connect number 4 in our podcast series. I'm Georgia Webber, and today I'm talking about period poverty with the team from Sister Speaks. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
So let me introduce you all. We've got Lush Angela, Monica Mahoya and Angela Wambui, who've been super busy this month working on a hugely impactful campaign, raising awareness about the issues facing girls and women, not just here in Kenya, but around the world, and who've been discriminated against or held back because they're on their period. Last week, we celebrated Menstrual Hygiene Day. Can you, one of you, explain why this day is so important, especially kind of here in Kenya?
Yeah, it's called Menstrual Health and Hygiene Day, a very critical day internationally to raise awareness on period poverty and the barriers and restrictions that women and girls experience while on their periods. It could be structural, it could be infrastructure, that is in terms of not being able to access female-friendly facilities like a clean toilet to change your pads, or even like a secure place to access the menstrual products to help you manage your periods. And the theme for this year was making menstruation a normal fact of life by 2020. So it's very critical we continue having this conversation to progress, access, call out the government. For example, the government of Kenya is trying to slash budgetary allocation in terms of menstrual health budget. So it's our work as Heels4Pads to, scream from the top of the table to tell them that no, that shouldn't be happening. It's very critical in terms of even the broader and holistic sexual reproductive health of women and girls.
Because I suppose if men had periods, this would be something that probably wouldn't be on the table. We wouldn't be discussing it at the moment.
100%.
We'd have days off.
They'd have days off. We'll come to that later. We'll come to that later. But so explain some of the difficulties that face girls, both at school and not just at school. It's at home as well. I mean, it's something they experience sort of throughout the whole of their level.
So basically, obviously, there's a term used called period poverty, right? And that applies to the fact that they probably don't have the resources or money to buy. Maybe lacking education around it, understanding what the responsibility of reaching puberty when you have periods, and then that means that they end up using not safe products, so they will use whatever is available to them, a towel, what have you, and then maybe sometimes even get a man will be like, I can buy pads for you in return for sexual favors. So you'll find, they'll put themselves in tricky situations. And so they miss out on going to school either because they're embarrassed, or like they don't want to mess their uniform, or they end up getting pregnant because they found themselves in these like tricky situations. So, and it happens whether in informal settlements or rural areas. It's a big challenge, and we, within our work, we try our best to try and find ways to deal with absenteeism. So if we can ensure that in a school that they have access to pads, then does that behavior change? If they're also educated around periods, understanding, if they have periods and they are having sexual intercourse with a boy, they, other than getting diseases, high chances of them getting pregnant. So educating them on that, and also learning to say no, teaching them about consent and not putting themselves in those tricky situations. Yeah.
And there's also a lot of stigma around menstruating women that exists in Kenya, and in other, and obviously in other countries too. But obviously we're in Kenya, so just explain how that kind of works.
Definitely, there are different stigmas based on whether it's culturally or whether it comes to gender. So one thing we try and do is normalize conversations around periods. Oftentimes you might get to some communities and the notion is that period blood is dirty, or a woman is unclean, or a girl's unclean. So like Lush mentioned, that's where you get a lot of women and girls not going to work or missing out on school because they're isolated from the community because they're considered unclean. So we spent Menstrual Hygiene Day on a trip to Nakuru, going through different towns, asking even men, what is menstruation? What do you know about menstruation? Would you ever, get a female counterpart a sanitary napkin if she needed one? Some men were like, oh, no, never. I can never touch a pad. So just letting people know that periods are a normal part of life. You are not dirty. And also we have to support each other. It's not just a woman's issue, but it is a human rights issue when it comes, to menstruation and allowing women and girls to have access to menstrual products.
You've mentioned the Heels4Pads Foundation. Explain a little bit about that. How does that work? It's a great idea, by the way. I love it.
Thank you very much. So Sister Speaks is for-profit entity that we started, the three of us, based on our lived experiences, like Angela from the US, Lash from the UK, and myself, my lived experience in Kenya, just to sort of find safe spaces for us to have conversations and get accountability partners, and also, be the enforcement of sisterhood, just coming together to, hold each space for ourselves to grow and learn from our journeys. And because these events were mostly ticketed, so we felt like we were sort of closing the doors to those women without the financial muscle. So, and one thing that connects us all, whether you're a president, a girl in the streets, a girl in the Marsabit, we are connected by the power of periods. So so we bleed red, even leaders bleed. So Heels4Pads was formed to unionize women because of periods. And the coining of the word was when you wear a great high heel, you have a great posture, you feel confident, and we wanted to circle that confidence to girls and women by giving them the education and access to period products to be able to manage their periods with dignity and confidence. So that's how Heels4Pads came about. Initially, it was supposed to be a one-off campaign to mark 2019 MHM Day, which is Menstrual Hygiene Day, and it became a movement. Here we are talking about Heels4Pads and our great impact in 2022. So it's we are here to stay because during our journey we've learned a lot, that our work is very much needed, and that's why we call ourselves Heels4Pads. So confidence for confidence.
Wonderful. Yeah. It's a brilliant initiative.
Thank you.
I don't wear heels though. Can you get some flats for pads? Have a look at my very flat.
Very flat.
You need some flats for pads.
So there are different ways of, we leverage mostly on storytelling. So we can take your flats and make a story around it, which can be empowering. And at the end of the day, I will give a product or a chance for a girl to be empowered in one way or another.
Amazing work. How many girls would you say? Do you know you've helped so far? How many would you say?
18,741. Oh wait, add in.
Last Saturday.
Yeah, add in the last one, so it'd be
200 and something.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah,
what great
19,000.
Yeah, 19,000 plus.
But the fact that you're able to monitor that data as well, is amazing. How is your data measured? What's your?
So we do drives. So that's like why Angela mentioned we went to Nakuru. Yeah. So we go to different counties. That's what we started off doing. And then we have a project called Adopt a Dispenser. Adopt a Dispenser basically means that we put a pad dispenser in a school. A girl gets access to a card that gives her 12 swipes per month. Then that allows her that when she's in school, she has there's a resource available for her to have access to pads. So going forward, that's what we've been focusing on. And so obviously when we do the drives, we know how many girls that we are going to be, targeting. If we go to school, we know how many girls that we are working with. So that's how we, able to keep track of how many people, girls and women. But going forward, we want to continue with the school project because our main focus is around trying to keep that girl in school and also educating her from around like menstrual health education and age appropriate conversations around sex.
So all this needs money.
Yes, it does.
100%.
Money, 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 money.
So how, if anyone's listening, how can they contribute?
So locally, if you are in Kenya, we have an M-Pesa pay bill number, 247-247, account number 530-300. Sorry.
530-300.
Sorry, say that again. I think I go on 53.
530-300.
530-300. And you can donate any amount. There's no amount that's too small. So 50 shillings buys 1 packet of pads. If you donate 600 shillings, that can cover a girl with a dignity kit. And that covers her for about 1.5 years. 2 years if she takes very good care of it. Also, connecting us with corporates that are interested in adopting a dispenser. So as Lesh mentioned, we have a program where we put digital dispensers inside schools, and that corporate company can provide sanitary napkins to girls for a period of at least 3 years. And that's a more sustainable and long-term project. And it also helps us collect data on usage for each student.
Yeah, and I was just going to say also, like, KOFISI has been wonderful by allowing us to have drop-off baskets where any members who use any of the KOFISI offices can, drop off pads. So that's other ways we've done it in the past. We've done it in malls. So yeah, and just other offices inviting us to their space to tell them about our work and finding ways, either supporting from a dispenser point of view or saying, there's a school that they'd like to support, and we fundraise for that school. Some people also do it as part of their birthday, like they decide that they want to fundraise as part of their birthday gift. So there's very many different ways. If you don't have money, you can share our information. We exist on Instagram at Heels4Pads. We exist on LinkedIn. We exist on all platforms. So different ways you can do what you can. So if it's share the information. If you're able to spare a few change and send. If you're abroad, you can go to GoFundMe and just type Heels4Pads. You'll find a page you can do that as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, so because KOFISI is obviously about workplaces, and but you've touched on it already, saying discussing that women having to take days off because their periods are so heavy, or they have endometriosis or PCOS. Do you think more can be done for women in the workplace in Kenya to make it a more sort of hospitable environment?
Absolutely. So when we were talking about how we plug ourselves in the corporate sector, we are very big on telling our story, especially talking about periods in a boardroom. So our slogan is we need to talk and normalize workplace policies. For example, if you have 50% of women, everyone is screaming about gender equality and inclusion. So if you're you're trying to have more women in your workplace. So if you have 10 of them, or 15% of that, not coming to work because of periods, then productivity will be very much affected. So it's our business to sensitize mostly men in the boardrooms or decision makers that there are different ways women experience their menstruation, and there are other menstrual health disorders that women could be experiencing. For example, endometriosis, which is very painful. So to just understand what happens with women, and just also like in Spain, they started menstrual leave. If you're listening, you could be the first one in Africa to give women a menstrual leave. So I think it's very important as KOFISI and everyone who is listening in to indulge themselves to understand menstrual health and why it's important to have practices and policies in place to support women. Even we just need that psychosocial support, nothing else. That's all we need.
So we need more women in higher places looking down on and help supporting people,
and men as allies,
and men as engaging men as allies.
100%,
exactly.
yeah.
And it can even be, so we've been to an office where they have a pad dispenser in the office. So if you start your periods unexpectedly and your office isn't close to a kiosk or shop you can buy or supermarket, they have a dispenser that dispenses free pads or tampons. So there's different ways you can do that within the space and just look into that. But adding to what Mo is saying, is also learning about the different conditions, which we talked off air, of periods, so that you can understand that there's some people who actually get hospitalized. And so finding ways to, I guess, be more acceptable, or rather inclusive, of those women who experience those kind of challenges. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, keep up the great work.
Thank you.
Just my last question is, what if you had one wish, each of you? What would it be?
Well, from the government, prioritize budgetary allocations that are geared towards women and girls, and mostly menstrual health. Like, it's 2022, you've not even told us how effective the free sanitary pads project has been. And now you're talking about slashing budget. So just holding them accountable and just doing their work, the bare minimum. Like, the population of women in Kenya is like the majority. So put women first, put our needs first. That's what they can do. Yeah.
They say you empower a woman, you empower an entire nation. And I truly believe that's true. Similar to what Monica said, we'd love to see, every girl up until, they make it to high school have free sanitary access, because the things that young girls go through, transactional sex for pads, as a teenager, you shouldn't have to think about that. As simple as a period sounds, it's so layered. So for me, I would definitely say at least, access to pads for free in all schools. And I hope it gets implemented, because the initiative, it's there. It's just, it hasn't been enforced. So
they don't give enough pads either. My wish would be that organizations, let's not invent another wheel. Let's work together. And also, in terms of working together, let's put out data that is being created by the people who live in Africa, rather than the other way around. Because what happens is people create solutions for problems they do not understand or have any idea. So you create a solution that's not going to work. And so I would want other organizations like ourselves to hold each other, to hold hands, because the table is long. We don't need to fight. We can work together and create that data and inform on what actually needs to be happening, and being real of the actual problems. So that would be my wish.
Amazing. 3 wishes. I sincerely hope they come true.
Yeah.
Good luck with your campaign, and thanks for coming in. Do you want to remind us of that pay bill number if anyone feels like donating quickly one more time?
Yes, you can support us. If you live locally on M-Pesa, pay bill number is 247247. Account number is 530300. If you go to GoFundMe, just type Heels4Pads Initiative. You'll be able to also do that there if you want to use a card or something, or you're based internationally.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming in, and we'll see you around our offices sometime soon.
Yes, thank you for having us.
It's been our pleasure, absolutely. Take care.
Okay,
Bye.
Bye.